Let's do it. Charles, you're live. Let's get it, buddy. You're ready to go.
Everybody, get
Oh, you're clipping your microphone.
I say, hey, can y'all hear me loud and clear? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now we
Perfect.
can. Now we can. Yes, sir.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
we got you. Did you lose us all of a sudden?
What's going on? Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello?
testing.
Yo, what
Yeah, we hear
everybody?
you.
What's going on? What's happened to you? Testing.
We're doing good.
Hello. Everybody can hear me.
Yeah, your setup keeps. Yeah, you keep clipping out all of a sudden, man. Like we hear you loud and clear, and then you get going, and it goes, and it stops. It's like, like that's just the way it's gonna go tonight, man. I guess we got you here. Hold on, I'm looking to see if I
Okay.
can't help it on my end a little bit. I just tried throwing your sound levels a little bit. Well, all I know is I'm excited to talk a little bit of state title. What about you, Hunter?
Yeah, I know I am. Like, obviously, there was the game yesterday and earlier this afternoon. We're gonna have Lakeland
Well,
Aquinas talk about right out the gate. So
well,
we're
I tell
definitely.
you, man, that one's looking good, man. I don't honestly know who's going to take that one down. What are you feeling like?
It's hard to like. Aquinas is the storied program of Florida, but Lakeland in
Right.
title games has had their number. That's
I mean,
kind
and
of like where I'm thinking.
Lakeland's just got, that rich history as well too. So I mean, it's a battle of heavyweights in the 5A class. Both of them have been there before, and both of them have taken it all home. And right now, Lakeland's considered a slight favorite as the 2 seed whenever the reseed came to the state title game. They're perfect on the year at
It's
13
also
and
the
0.
fact that when obviously Lakeland, like we were talking about them being a storied history, you're talking about a Lakeland team that has more wins to their name than any other program in the state of Florida.
Ooh, that's right. That's right. You definitely got something there. So but it's hard to bet against STA too, man. I mean, they've had a great run coming in. I know they've got 3 losses compared to the 13 and 0 of Lakeland, but I mean, when you look at those losses, they're to the who's who's. You got a state champion on there in Chaminade Madonna, right? You got Bishop Gorman and you got American Heritage, right? So I mean, it's not like they're losing to chump programs.
Oh
Those
yeah,
are
like
those those are teams that they may all be down in Miami right now still, right? Like off the
well
top of my
Bishop
head.
Gorman, they are out there in Nevada, but they're going to be a state champion and probably finish top 10 in the country. Shamnot
Yep.
already won a state title yesterday, which we obviously talk about in a bit. And
Hmm.
then you have American Heritage, who's playing for a state title against Jones this weekend.
Right. Right, right, right. Well, Charles, did you get back with us okay there? Not hearing him just yet. So he's working through his technical difficulties and everything. And yeah, I mean, honestly, this one's hard to pick. This could be a 1 point game either way, just like Lakeland's last game against Niceville, right? Where it was a 34-33 type of game. And I could easily see that happening again, right? I mean, because when you look at what STA has done, they've really, I mean, 58 points, 53 points, 49 points, and then all of a sudden they get held to 16 by Manatee at Manatee. Right. So I mean, They can win the high scoring games. They can win the low scoring games. You look at Lakeland's path, and they had something similar in the fact they won 51-6 first round, 41-13 in the second round, but then had a close game against Tampa Bay Tech for the regional final, 24-21, and then got their ticket punch to the state title game against Niceville in the 1-point victory. So, I mean, both of them are you're both looking at teams that have the ability to win the close games, win the blowouts. And right now, I think I'm going to go with Lakeland. What's your pick?
I can't go against the historical dominance that Lakeland's had over STA. And when you look at STA, they are a bit down this year compared to into past years. So I got to
Mhm.
think the Dreadnoughts probably pull this one out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I tell you, man, I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way, right? But it's not going to be a blowout either way. It's not going to be a game that all of a sudden somebody's up 3 or 4 scores and it's just cruising and coasting to a state title. This is going to be an absolute dogfight of a game until the very end. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was 24-21. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 35-38. I wouldn't be surprised with any of those outcomes on any direction. But if you're going to have to pick one and everything, I'm going to go with the Dreadnoughts as well.
Interesting enough, this
So,
will be the 6th time that these two have faced off in a state title game.
wow, that's a heck of a sense. I mean, that's almost as bad as Union and Madison running into each other in the rural playoffs, huh?
For what it's worth, Lakeland holds a 4-1 edge in title games.
Yeah, hear
Ooh, a 4-1
me.
edge. So, oh, I heard you loud and clear right there. You got us now, bud?
Yeah, hear me.
Yes,
Yeah, we hear
sir.
you.
Awesome, about time, man. Hey. All right, what we
I
got
don't
something
know
to talk
why.
about?
I don't know
Yeah,
why
say,
your setup hates you sometimes, man.
Are
I don't
you
know
were you
why
able
it
to hear
does
the
either,
discussion
man.
we had on Lakeland STA?
Yeah, that's what I'm hopping on right at perfect timing. I'm going.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah, we got you. Go ahead, man.
Okay, I'm making sure I was straight because I'm testing out my new microphone. That actually not new, but it's old. But I haven't
Ooh,
used it in quite a while. Actually, working pretty well.
yeah,
Uh,
you sound great.
Um, so Lakeland and St. Thomas, two historic Florida perennial powers. St. Thomas, of course, meaning this is their 5th time playing, correct, Hunter?
6th.
6, okay. Historically, St. Thomas has been the perennial power. As of late, Lakeland has really put their rear head in the running for you know, next perennial power stepping in the state of Florida. Um, you can't go against the Dread, of course, moving down from 6A last year. They're 5A this year, right, fellas? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about facing Buchholz no more like they did last year. But they do face more tougher opponents, especially with a St. Thomas Aquinas in their rear view coming up this upcoming weekend. I'm going to give the Dreadnoughts their three-peat. Of course, I'm sad that the Gadsden County Tigers lost their chance of defanging the Tigers today in a very closer game than a lot of people expected. I'm gonna add on to the three-peat category. I'm gonna have Lakeland go for three-peat. They will win 20-17, a lot lower score game, like a lot of people expected. I got the Dreadnoughts going for a three-peat down there at Pitbull Stadium.
All right, so it looks like
Okay.
we got a
So,
clean sweep on Lakeland. And now that you brought up the Coco Gatson game, I guess that's a good time any to segue into this one. We
heck
talked
yeah,
about it
let's
a little
talk
bit
about it.
yesterday. I know we talked about it a little yesterday off air with this game. What's our thoughts on how that game went?
Well, I have to say kudos to the Gaston County Jaguars for a tremendous season. For them, and we talked about this Hunter quite a bit because it's 2A bracket. You had teams such as Stark and Newberry and Bowles and Gaston County and Taylor County in this bracket. But we talked about Bradford and Newberry, but we didn't really talk too much of Gadsden County making it this far. But they made it this far. And at halftime, it was only 14-9. It was only down 5 points, but the game really got interesting in the second half when, all the gloves came off. And it was just touchdown here, touchdown there, touchdown everywhere. But once again, I always say this, experience matters in games like this. And with Coco going for a third title in Gadsden, can you say first time in school history go, or was it second time go?
Yeah, it was first time.
So being an inexperienced team in a game with this magnitude against the teams going for their third straight title, experience does matter. And unfortunately, the experience was the difference in this 11-point win. I do think if Gadsden kind of can keep the philosophy they had this year, it's a possibility we can see it back here down the line.
I wouldn't be shocked about that. In fact, you brought up the back and forth touchdown. I believe it was 4 different times that Gadsden pulled it to within one possession, and Coco scored the very, almost immediately afterwards. So it's kind of like just as soon as Gadsden was getting close to be able to do it, Coco just extended the lead even further. That's probably experience. The minute that Coco felt threatened, they put the burners on and put another touchdown to pad the lead.
If we are a championship caliber team such as Coco, you can't take nobody lightly. And for one, they expect a very hard-fought game for the Gadsden County Jaguars. You have to give Coco all the credit for coming prepared. Both teams showed their true potential in the second half. But Coco, 3-time state champions, unprecedented in their school history. Look, hopefully we can see 2 3-peat champions this upcoming weekend with Lakeland versus St. Thomas. But my question to you is this: now that Coco's done 3 straight, with 2A getting tougher and tougher by the year, with Newberry with that surprising season this year, can Coco go for an unprecedented 4-peat next year, Hunter? What you think?
I think at least at the very least, I think they're going to be the favorite going into next year. It's hard to bet against a team like Coco. You see them year after year. They are one of the top teams in the entire state. They play a great schedule. They challenge themselves all year. They get into playoffs, and they light a switch on some of these teams. Like the Newberry game, for example, we thought that was going to be a really competitive game, and they just blasted them. It's hard to look at a team like Coco and think anything other than this is a team that's going to be there until someone beats them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're the man.
They are the man. And the great words of Ric Flair, or to beat a man, you got to beat the man. So I know.
Yes, sir. But let's be honest, it still isn't as impressive as what Chaminade Madonna did in the playoffs this year.
Oh, yeah, and speaking of a team going consecutive, they just won their 4th straight title.
4th? Wow. That's impressive. And they beat Clearwater for the second time in 3 years in that title game?
Yeah, it was back-to-back years, and I believe that's the third time in 4 years.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you're Clearwater such a calf, it's like, what do you have to do to beat the man? Because it's like, who's a wrestling fan of y'all too? You ever watch wrestling for the last 10, 15 years? I'm a wrestling fan. So do you remember the Shawn Michaels Triple H, Shawn Michaels Undertaker rivalry back in WrestleMania 25 and 26? When Shawn Michaels couldn't beat Undertaker, so he fought everywhere in his way to get back at that Undertaker to beat the streak. And he still couldn't beat him. So in order, you know, Madonna, you are Shawn Michaels, and you're the Undertaker, and Clearwater is. I give you every punch, every sweet chin music, every elbow from the top rope, and you still get tombstone at the end of the day. It's like if you're Shawn Madonna, you expect everything in the arsenal coming out from your opponents. But once again, the streak won't be broken because there's no team out there in 1A that's going to give you the run that you expect. In the Great Warrior Undertaker, 19 men is risen and 19 men is fallen. And right now, Chaminade Madonna is the undisputed, reigning, defending 1A champion of the state of Florida, and I do not see them losing anytime soon. unless Trinity Christian or University Christian or even Clearwater, somebody defeat the Monarchs of Chaminade Madonna. Right now, the Lions. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right
Lions.
now, they're running the rug across 1A football.
Well, let's throw it out there, right? Is this the most dominant playoff run in the history of FHSA football? Because they outscored in 5 games, they outscored their opponents 259-19.
You know who that
Think about that. That's a plus 240 on the point differential in the playoffs.
I'm glad you brought that up because you look at Miami Northwestern's run this year, it's kind of equal. Let's look at Miami Northwestern's. They've been slashing everybody in half too. But they got to close it out too against a very tough Rangers team. So
I will throw this in because if you really want to count it, let's look at Chaminade last year and this year combined, and you're talking about 2 of the most dominant playoff runs back-to-back years that we've ever seen. Because last year's Chaminade team was probably better than this one.
And they had Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. Hey, look at what he's doing over there at Ohio State as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Freshman
that's a big call out. Big call out. Big.
Is the quarterback from last year?
Can you imagine if he would have went to Florida with DJ though?
Oh man. I would say either him or Ryan Williams at Florida right now. But we got VB3 coming out next year, so I'm excited to see what he brings along with Eugene Wilson III. I can't wait to see those 2 play together next year.
Right.
It's weird that how the heck did Miami, Florida State, and Florida all let Jeremiah Smith lead the state? Like, how do you let that guy out of your home state?
It's called Brian Hartline in the bag. Brian Hartline's a coach in all of college ball, and Ohio State drops bags.
And then don't forget, you look at the last several years of wide receiver talent that came from Ohio State. You had Jackson Smith-Njigba. You had who else? You had you got Emeka Buku still there. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. You got a lot of talent for that receiver room. Even back when Terrell Pryor was playing Troy Smith, you had Brian Hartline himself. You had Ted Ginn. You had Anthony Gonzalez. I mean, you had a bunch of. You had who else? I know I forgot one big
Marvin
one.
Harrison.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison.
Yeah,
I'm talking
Marvin
about
championship.
You had who's a leading receiver that Buckeyes team when they beat Oregon in 2015 title game in Dallas. I forgot his name because he also played with Cardale Jones. Come on, come on, y'all help me out here. I'm stuck in my head.
I'm trying.
Oh, jeez. Oh gosh. Once I figured out, I'm gonna say it, but Ohio State
math that Northwestern things like y'all were talking about. Sorry, my bad.
No, you good. But to go to Northwestern to do what Teddy Bridgewater has done this year, retire from the NFL, lead your team to an unprecedented season, and now you're on the cusp of doing something. I don't think. Did any of you figure out who was the only coach in Florida history? I did. Good. I'm glad you.
Interesting enough, it actually, funny enough, Lakeland, their coach last year, won it in his first year as a head coach.
He was the first one to do it. Got it. Okay. So this will be the second.
It's happened before, but that was the most recent one.
Most recent one. Okay. Do you know how many times it happened in state history?
Unfortunately, I don't have a number. I only could figure out who the most recent one was. But so I was surprised by that one.
Yeah, me too. I thought Hugh Bid was there for a long time. But you have to give Teddy Bridgewater credit because he's a Miami guy. He's a South Florida guy. He went to school at Northwestern. He knows the stomping grounds and the pageantry of Miami Northwestern football. To be the man, you have to go to Booker T in that rivalry between Miami Northwestern and Booker T. That is one of the bigger rivals in South Florida is the Booker T Miami Northwestern rival. How I know? My dad played in that game. So my dad's side of the family is all Bulls. If you're not a Jackson or Johnson, you are not a Bull. You're a Bull. So I didn't go to Miami Northwestern. My parents separated. I moved up here. But being part of that Northwestern Booker T rivalry is probably one of the bigger rivals in South Florida. And we see a lot of rivals. You know, you got Carroll City versus Central. Give me another rival in South Florida. You got
Central
you know what I'm saying?
Northwestern.
Central Northwestern. That's another big rival. But Booker T Northwestern is a big rivalry game. Okay, they're not even that far from each other. They're not maybe like 10, 20 minutes of each other. So this is a big game. Big game. So with Teddy Bridgewater winning that game this year and leading Northwestern back to national prominence, I'm not knocking nothing against the Rays Vikings because they had a tremendous season. Kudos to what Lil Duval's doing to help the Rays Vikings band get up to the title game this upcoming weekend. But I'm sorry, man. Teddy Bridgewater doing something special in that blue and gold uniform. And I'm sorry, man. That Vikings boneyard is about to get interrupted by a bull stampede. So I'm going Northwestern by 14 over the Vikings to win was it a 4A state championship game?
3A.
3A. I knew it was one. That's my 3A state champion winner, the Miami Northwestern Bulls.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, just to put it in perspective, for them to have as dominant of a run as Shaman Madonna did this year, Northwestern has to win with scoring at least 38 points and only giving up 7 in the state title game. So just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there, how dominant Shaman Madonna's been in this postseason. So now don't get me wrong, could it happen? I mean, heck, Northwestern went to Melbourne last week and dropped a 40 bomb in Melbourne. So who knows, man? Who knows? Like it could happen still, but at the same time, it's just crazy to when you're seeing this much differentiation even in the playoffs and state title games. It makes you think that maybe next year there's gonna need to be some more shakeups and classifications and stuff, right?
For sure. Definitely.
Well, tell me about that team you hate up in Boot Hill and how they managed to win themselves a state title.
All right, let's talk about these blasted Boot Hill Cowgirls. I really hate talking about these boys. I really hate.
Hey,
I hate Hawthorne.
don't hate. I still predicted them to win this title from the get go. So
So did I.
I was an idiot that go against Madison. But I'm a huge Cornelius Ingram fan, been a fan of him since been the head coach at Hawthorne. I can't stand Madison. No offense to the Madison Cowgirls. I'm gonna keep calling you Cowgirls because that's the rivalry I got with y'all. It's nothing personal. But as a Tiger fan, over the last several years we faced y'all, it's been back and forth. But lately it's been all Cowgirls, all pony ups. So I was kind of pissed that Hawthorne lost. I didn't bet because I'm not a betting man, but I was pissed that Hawthorne lost because I didn't want to see another championship go back to that drastic place they call Boot Hill. And now they have won 7 state titles, and not many schools in the state, not all the country, can say they won 7 state championships. I think it's more like a handful of teams in the state that won at least 7 or more state championships. So it is an unprecedented feat to have 7 state titles. I really want them out of 1A, to be honest with you. Out of rule, I really sick and tired of them, to be honest with you. We've been talking about this for years as a fan base. Why Madison is that big of a school to be still in rule. They're a big school. I'm not complaining. They deserve the state title, but if you don't have like, the criteria should have been if you got under 500 students in rule, that's the rule. That was the rule going into this rule classification. There's a lot of schools like Newberry. They had over 700, 800 students. They was going to it. Bradford, they always stay 2. You know what I'm saying? Schools like that unfortunately had to move out, like a Newberry. So, congratulations. Yeah, I sound like a spoiled loser, but hey, man, it is what it is. I was really looking for Hawthorne to win, but I hate to say this too. Both fan bases are really. I'm sorry. I hate to say this, bro. I ain't trying to be like a Debbie Downer because people say Union County fans aren't doing it, but if you had a choice to pick Hawthorne with a third straight time, have Hawthorne University keep walking around here saying Hawthorne University or the University of Hawthorne, or have Boot Hill with a seventh straight state championship or seventh state championship school history, I'd rather just sit in the middle of a road and get rid of my truck. Because I'll be honest with you, these are two of our main rivals in our classification. It's like I can't. It's like choosing Alabama versus Florida State or Georgia versus Florida State. I can't stand neither one of y'all. But I'd rather pull my own two front teeth out before I choose one of y'all two. But I picked Hawthorne Hornets because I can't. We lost to Madison last. That's the reason I picked Hawthorne. So yeah, it was hard for me to pick Hawthorne. It was hard for me to even pick that game because, of course, we are our high school football fanatics. So we love high school football, and this is what we do. We love calling games and picking games, but it pissed me off, Robert, to see those ponies win another state championship. I mean, gosh, I mean, I was so. I looked on the score screen. Okay, it was 14-6. Okay, cool. No, Hawthorne got time. 21-14. Okay, Hawthorne got a chance to win the game. Incomplete pass to Izzo. Okay, cool. Fourth down. Then I saw the air snap, and it flew past Aiden Curtis. And I'm looking like, God doggone Hawthorne, why? Why you let those stupid cowgirls win?
It's not like Union County didn't win something this week though, right? Because congrats to Gavin Jenkins for signing his offer letter, right? Because USF is where he's heading, right? He's going to be a Bull.
Yes, USF. Congratulations to G-Man for going to being our going to USF to join Alvin Isaac, who was a former Hawthorne player, part of that 2022 state championship team. He's over there at USF as a running back. He was a wide receiver at Hawthorne. Now he's playing running back. So Gavin's not going as a receiver. Gavin going as a quarter. He was a 3-star athlete, according to 24/7 Sports. So congratulations to Gavin Jenkins. Also, congratulations to Jarquez Carter of Newberry for signing his NIL deal to go to Ohio State. Is that correct?
Yeah, he signed his letter of intent as well. So he's heading to the shoe.
And then you had the other player, another outside defensive lineman. He's going to Miami. So good job for Newberry for getting two elite Power 4 offers with those two defensive linemen. To Coach Ed Johnson for winning a Coach of the Year award too. I think he won the other day as well. So congratulations to Coach Ed Johnson on a remarkable season.
Well, another rural shout out. Mike Goodall in Chiefland actually is becoming a cadet. He's going to Army to play in West Point. So congrats to that young man. That's a heck of a step up, because not only is he getting to go play college ball, but then he's gonna serve his country afterwards. So congrats, sir.
Right. Hey, make it back home safe. That's all we all care about. Make it back home safe. Other players, I think for Bradford, last name McKenzie. I forgot his first name. He was a quarterback in last year's state title run for the Tornadoes, but I think he signed his letter of intent as well too. And I think one of the other players signed.
He's going to Central Michigan.
Yep, he's going up there to Mount Pleasant to join Jim McElway's team. Is he playing quarterback or is he playing defense?
I don't know, but McElwain also just retired. This is his last season of being the head coach. Period.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And another former Gator coach is going to UNLV. So Dan Mullen just signed his. Not nearly as big as the Belichick news, but
I'm gonna be a Rebels fan this year. I'm gonna be a UNLV fan because I'm a huge fan of Dan Mullen, what he's done in his coaching career. Not only at Florida, but what he's done as an impactful coach at Mississippi State to turn that program. So he's gonna have a great career at UNLV to get his guys in and make the Mountain West fun again.
Well, now that we've seen that the rural division is losing some talent and everything, what's your top 10 look like for 2025 in the rural division? Right, like who's bringing it back and trying to run it back? Really, I mean, Do I hate to say it? Is Madison the number one going into next season still?
Well, I've done my homework, and unfortunately, I'm glad we had this conversation. Me and Hunter had this conversation yesterday about about this this rule top 10. So I'm gonna go over the final uh top 10 before we go into it. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this top 10 before I reveal mine?
You mean like my top
What?
10?
Yeah, what are your top 10? We'll compare our top 10s.
Okay, I'll go from 10 to 1 just because to make it a little interesting because I figure like you probably know which one's going to be number 1, but if we go from the bottom up, it'll generate more discussion.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do
Okay.
it.
At number 10, I'm going to pull a little bit of a surprise here. I'm going to take Fort Meade at that 10 spot. I think building off
Okay.
of that invitational
Okay.
championship that they won, I think that's something that they might be able to build a bit of momentum off of that and get themselves going a bit to that next level. That's kind of where I felt they were at. At number 9, I have my highest ranked Panhandle team. I have Bluntstown at number 9 going into next year.
Okay.
At number 8, I'm going to pull a little bit of a surprise here. I'm going to take the Lafayette Hornets at 8 going into next year.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Got it.
At 7, I'm going to take the Pahokee Blue Devils. At
Okay, Blue
6,
Devils. Okay.
I'm going to be taking. At 6, I got Fort White. I feel like they finished the year pretty strong, even with some injuries. I think if they go into next year healthy, they got a real shot to be competitive in 1R.
Okay.
At 5, I got Chiefland at the 5 spot.
Chiefland at the 5 spot. Okay.
And as we get to the next stage, I will say this: 2, 3, and 4, all these are pretty interchangeable. Like the gap between them was very slim. I just went with my gut on this. I would not be shocked to see any of these teams change spots between now and the start of August.
Okay.
At number 4, I got Union County.
Okay.
I have some concerns with what they're losing, and just in general, I feel like I need to see a little bit more like where they're going to stand at August before I could feel comfortable putting them higher. But I think they're not that far apart from the teams ahead of them. At number 3, I got the Williston. I got Williston here at 3. I feel pretty confident with what they got coming back for next year. Obviously, a really good coach there in Robbie Pruitt. I feel like they're going to just keep growing and they're going to keep closing in on those top 2 spots. And at number 2, I got Hawthorne at the 2 spot. I obviously we were talking about this yesterday about the fact that they lose a lot of talent. I think they have enough to stay as a contender. I just don't know if I'm confident to put them over the top spot. But at number 1, it's Madison. They are going to be going into defending state champs. It's hard to go against them at that 1 spot.
I like your top 10. I got a few changes I want to make in that top 10. Your top
Let's hear
4.
it.
Your top 4 is definitely kind of similar to mine. I'm gonna go ahead. First of all, I'm gonna move Fort Meade a little higher than 10 because of what they did to start the tournament with one or 2 wins and to win the whole thing. It's kind of a crime against Fort Meade to be number 10. My number 10 team, I was gonna put Chipley, but the way Chipley ended their season off like quickly, how bad it wasn't even competitive. I wouldn't put them number 10. I am gonna put the Dixie County Bears number 10. And I'm gonna explain why. How Dixie County played, they're in the same boat as Fort Meade, how both teams came in with little or nothing to lose, and to make it all the way to the FIT title game and had a very good showing, even though they didn't win against Fort Meade. Dixie County really made me a believer again in Dixie County Bears. I'm gonna give the Dixie County Bears a 10 spot. And right ahead of them, I'm gonna put the Fort Meade team there. They're not much far apart when it comes to talent level. I think both teams they play again. This game, if it's a 7-game set in the NBA, This will go to 7 games between Fort Meade and Dixie County. That's how close they are when it comes to this right here. At number 8, I am gonna put Bluntstown there at number 8. I would not have Lafayette in my top 10. I'm sorry. I do not respect the Lafayette Hornets for the last several years. They are a one and done team. Maybe 1 or 2 times they made it outside the first round. And each time they made a playoff run, each time they made it to the playoffs, they got humiliated. And I understand you play against Madison, Union County, but to be a team that's supposed to be like a B tier team in 1A, you don't put up good showings. Last year they had to run a clock against Madison. The year before that, they got humiliated by Union County. So I would not put Lafayette. Lafayette is actually my 11th team in rural, followed by Chipley. Bluntstown, my 18. They are the best team in the Panhandle. I thought it would be Jay, but unfortunately, you know how Jay got embarrassed by a banged up Fort White team in the first round. I'm not putting them in my top 15 because how hard Fort White played. He outmatched, outnumbered in that game against Jay. But sometimes grit wins over matter sometimes. So I'm going to put Bluntstown as the best team in the panel, number 8. Number 7, I will have those Fort White Indians at number 7. Good job by Coach Demetrius Jackson over there in Columbia County. Still put up a winning record despite losing the second round to a very good Williston Red Devil team. Number 6, definitely going to be Pahokee. Pahokee's always going to be Pahokee at the end of the day. Pretty much the best South Florida team in rural football. Really, only 3 South Florida teams in rural football is Fort Meade, Pahokee, and Marathon. And Marathon's horrible. So Pahokee looked good against Union County. Could have pulled off the upset if things would have went their way if they had 5 quarters of football. But finished 7-4, good season for the Blue Devils. Then we get to the real meat and potatoes of rural football top 5. Chief is definitely could be considered for the top 4, but the way they went out in the first round against Williston was bad. Not against Williston, but at the middle of the year, Williston was at the middle of the pack. We thought Williston was going to miss the tournament, but the strong season push by the Red Devils is the reason why I got them ahead of the Indians. 2, 3, and 4, like you said, Hunter, interchangeable. I do give Hawthorne more cushion between 3 and 4 because they made a state championship last several years. Yes, they lose a lot of production on both sides of the football for those classes, including top player in Keenan Johnson, the running back, and then of course CJ. He didn't play basketball this year, so I do got Hawthorne 2. I have to agree with you. 1 through 4 is pretty much spot on. Union County and Willis are interchangeable at 3 and 4. I would love to see them 2 play this year, either at Booster Stadium or Tiger or the Jungle. But the top 10, I'm sorry, Lafayette. I know y'all gonna be pissed off at me, but Lafayette hasn't really shown me anything much of being a regular season team and a first round exit. Teams that improved definitely was Dixie County for sure. It's my most improved team. How Dixie County went from a 2-win season at 1 point to finish 7-7 and make it to the Invitational Championship game. I have to give kudos out there to the boys in Dixie County. My next team that receiving votes for the top 10 will surely be the Chipley Tigers. Jay, Ursula Christian, who else you got? Holmes County for sure, and then the Branford Buccaneers. Those are my next 7 teams that receiving votes in the top 10. Trenton had a good strong, and Baker. I forgot Baker's another team, but Trenton also a good season for them too as well. They're just knocking on the door, get back into the state playoff picture, but you have to give all these teams in the top 10 credit. They're the best of the state. But unfortunately for Lafayette, you're a perennial top 10 team every year, but to once again make it to the first round and be out. No, they actually won past Freddie. It was first they beat Cottondale. Sorry, I apologize. They beat Cottondale this year in a shootout. But it's not too many times that Lafayette gets past the first round. You get me, Robert? It's not many times you see Lafayette get to the second, let alone third rounds. So those are my top 10 teams. I think they're not going to change it probably till August and see what a new schedule looks like. But I think the top 4 teams will be back in the picture again as well in late December, as it was this year.
Hunter, we lost you for a second. I got you back in there. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just poke some holes at a couple of assumptions and some of the top 10 because I love where y'all's heads at, and I see a lot of the points and everything. And the thing that is we've talked about with rural football is tough, hard-nosed football. Right.
Correct.
And the thing that I see in a lot of the roster composition and those top five teams in rural football is the returning linemen that are going to be coming back to these programs. The two programs in the top five that have the most back are Madison and Williston, right? Teams that like to pound the ball, teams that uh, have some uh, real good offensive line talent. If you look at Williston, they've got a kid who's a sophomore named Jackson Ridgway, who's 6'2", 300 pounds, and can move. Right. Like now he's a sophomore, so I mean he's obviously got a lot of skills to develop and stuff still. But you might see him really start to stand out over the course of the next two seasons. Because remember, they also pushed around Jacques Carter whenever they played Newberry in that second half and everything. So there's some young line talent that may attract a little bit more of that skill talent to come back over there to Williston and stuff too. So how's the line talent looking at Union County though, Charles? Because I hadn't got to see them in person this year. And
I'm glad.
what's their return in line look like?
Here we go. I'm looking at the roster right now. We got a lot of seniors on the team. Period. And we get to our first lineman. Let me scroll down here. First lineman. That's a lineman. Okay, so we do got an offensive lineman, but he's real. He was a backup this year. Another. Let's see, find some of these real offensive linemen. So yeah, we got a couple. Our guards. He was a senior. A long snapper. He was guarding long snapper. Our starting defense lineman, offensive line. He's a senior. We do got a sophomore coming back, which is critical for us. We had our center. He was a sophomore. Backup center, 5'11". I don't know how much he weighed. It'll say on here. We do got another sophomore come back. He's coming. He didn't start, but he did get some meaningful. Edward Durant. So far, that's three of them. Three sophomores coming back. Definitely need to gain a little weight. 5'9", 215. That's not really not the most ferocious thing. We do got a fresh offensive lineman on the varsity roster. We're losing Reese Hendricks for graduation. That's four seniors I've seen so far. So we're losing quite a bit of seniors. I don't know what JV's bringing up, but right now we're kind of thin when it comes to like beefcakeness. But with Coach Thomas, I love my Coach Thomas. Coach Thomas is going to make sure the guys are conditioned and well trained going into spring practice and spring ball. So we have the strongest offensive lineman. We're going to make sure our guys will be strong enough and conditioned enough to handle the gruesome of rural football.
Right. Well, and that's just one of the things I wanted to point out that I feel like a good predictor of rural football success can be seen in the trenches. And so right now, I think that your two top returning offensive and defensive line units in rural football are in Boot Hill and they're in Williston at Booster Stadium. Right. I mean, really when you look at the roster and you look at the people who are competing on the lines for both teams, like Madison's returning a bunch of production. Williston's returning four of their starting offensive linemen, and they're also returning the sophomore who led the team in sack. Uh, um, and gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Noah Robinson. That's right. I was blanking on his name off the top of my head at first. And he even still opposite Tim Taylor at who Tim Taylor would usually be at a 3 or a 4 eye technique. Noah would be on the other side, and just absolutely wrecking the offensive line on the opposing team too. So I think Williston and Madison could end up having, and I mean, obviously, I had predicted both of them to go to the state title game again this year simply because of their line play and their defensive play. And Madison got there, Williston didn't. But if some of the running backs around the area, because Williston's also returned graduating, they're returning their starting QB. They're going to be returning most of their defensive backfield. So Williston, honestly, I think has a claim for number 2 in the top 10 preview. But I agree with you guys in the fact that based on everything that's happened, I actually would say if you base it just simply on what's been happening the past couple of years, you still got to keep Madison and Hawthorne 1 and 2, and you might could interchange both of them. Because I think Coach Ingram's going to build his roster back up this year. He's going to get some linemen to come in. He's going to have those backs and those skill players because, I mean, his QB's got a live arm coming in next year. I mean, that freshman could spin it. He can absolutely drop a dime in a bucket at 25, 30 yards on the run and just make it happen. So, argue then that you would Williston and Chiefland around the 3, 4, 5. But if you had to give it a nod to recent production, you would say that Chiefland would be the 5, and Union County and Williston could kind of interchange at 3 and 4, like Hawthorne and Madison could interchange at 1 and 2. That's just my opinion. I love y'all's rankings. I think y'all did a great job, and I'm just trying to give a little bit of a different insight to it.
I do want to say something real quick while you're talking about. I love your insight about it, Robert. But I am watching the state championship game between St. Thomas and Lakeland, and it's not looking good for the Dreadnoughts right now. It's 17-0 right now. St. Thomas right now.
What?
They just scored.
Wow.
Wow.
That's game going right now with 8:58 left in the second. It's all St. Thomas right now currently. So to give you a quick update on that St. Thomas Lakeland.
Well, we've covered all of the stuff we had on our agenda tonight.
Actually, no, we didn't. We had the other state title games.
I thought we talked about those a little bit. Which one did we not hit? We talked about Northwestern, right?
Well, actually, on Northwestern, Charles was the only one that made a pick on the Northwestern game. We didn't make a pick, and then we saw the other three title games.
That's right. You're right. My bad. I remembered the Northwestern, and it dominated my thought process there. So, yeah. Let's talk it.
I agree with a lot of what Charles was saying when we were talking about Northwestern earlier. I think that I know that there's quite a few people in the Jacksonville area that were talking real big about Reigns and saying that they're going to run right through them. In the words of a very famous analyst on College Game Day, not so fast. When you look at who Reigns beat to make it to the title game, we all agreed in the Final Four that Booker was the weakest team in the Final Four. When you look at the fact that they struggled at home to get by Booker, Northwestern went on the road against Uagali and put up 40 sweeping 0 on the Commodores. When you look at this matchup, it's not really, to me, I don't see it as a close matchup. You're talking about a Reigns team that struggled with Booker, but you're talking about a Bulls team that dominated. I don't think that Reigns has faced anyone this season that is even close to the level of the Northwestern Bulls. I got Northwestern here by 20.
Yeah, I think the main question is going to be, does Northwestern beat them by at least 31-7 to try to match Chaminade? It's going to be close in terms of that, but it's not going to be close in the game. Yeah, I'm thinking it's a 3-touchdown win for Northwestern.
All right, so we got
which class
3A.
next?
4A, we could do HP versus Jones.
All right, let's do it. So you want to go first, Hunter?
I think I still feel good because like we talked with when we made our picks before the playoffs started, all but one of the teams that I picked to win state is still alive playing for a title or has already won one. Obviously, with
Nice.
Madison, Chaminade, and Coco, that's 3 already won. The only one that hasn't maintained was the 6A pick. I had Northwestern in 3A. I had American Heritage in 4A from the start of the playoffs, and I haven't changed my mind at all. I think this is a really tight game. I think this might end up being the best game overall, like in terms of top level talent and competitiveness combined. I think this will be a close game. I think HP wins it by like a 20 to, well, I guess like a 21-17 type game. But I think that this is going to be the Patriots pulling home another state title for South Florida.
So you got
All right.
American Heritage, Steve, Jones.
Yeah.
I agree. I think VB3 can still have a big game regardless. It lose effort. I got American Heritage winning 21-17.
And I'm gonna go with American Heritage as well. That way you can honestly say Shamana Madonna might have beaten how many state title winners this year? Because that would
We'll
have
have to
been
look that up before next show.
I mean, it's just incredible. Because that would be basically if American Heritage wins and STA wins, then Shamana Madonna would have beaten 2 other Florida State champions in the regular season. So give me American Heritage just to see if we can't have it be even a little crazier here, right?
All right.
Breaking news before we go to the next state championship game. It is not looking good for Lakeland, fellas. Lakeland just threw a pick, and St. Thomas is already inside the 15-yard line. Lakeland. It's not looking good.
Wow.
I mean, they just have
Okay.
there's a lot of football left still.
I'm starting to think I should have stuck with my original 5A pick because I had Aquinas before the playoff.
Yeah, I think we talked ourselves into the Lakeland, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, it's all good. It's all good.
We'll see we'll keep an eye on that game as we continue the show. But obviously, up to the 6A tile game next. West Boca Raton looking to bring home the first large school state title for Palm Beach County since Dwyer in 2013, as they take on Kissimmee Altisola, who is looking for their second state title in school history. And also, West Boca is looking for their first state title in school history. So you're talking about two teams that largely have not, like West Boca has not really had a whole lot of. They kind of strike me as like a team that hasn't really had like a lot of success long term. And then you talk about Osola, which has had a lot of heartbreaking title losses to significantly better teams. The question is, do they finally get over the hump here? What do y'all think?
Well, I think Osceola is going to get over the hump, and the reason I think that is because of the quality of competition that they've played along the way. Their losses this year are to Jones and Lake Mary, right? And when you look at Jones and Lake Mary, weren't they also Final Four teams in their own respect? Right. In fact,
Jones is playing in a
Lake
state title game,
Mary's
and Lake Mary was a state semifinalist.
Well, and Lake Mary's got Venice in the 7A, right? So I mean, really, they played tough with those two teams and everything as well. Let's take a look at who West Boca has played, right? That could even really say that, hey, all right, we're up on that same level of competition, and it doesn't look like they've played anybody that you could really say battle tested them, right? I mean, their closest game was their game against Southridge, 14-11, or a game against Western where it went to overtime at 28. but Western isn't exactly the team that put a big run into the playoffs or anything either. Quite the same as what the other teams done. I mean, and the Western team lost to STA 23-15, and they lost to American Heritage 51-12. So I would say, you got to go with Osceola
Yeah, sure.
really
Yeah.
pulling this one out, I think.
Yeah, if you get thrown around by American Heritage, barely get by St. Thomas, I'm not sure St. Thomas, you're not doing a good job against the teams you're supposed to play against, the tougher teams, especially two teams are playing for a state title this weekend. Give me Osceola. I really want Bills to be in this game to win their state championship, but unfortunately the Bobcats didn't do that last week at home. Give me Osceola. Let's throw a score out there: 30-24.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think one touchdown game sounds good.
I'll take Osceola for the clean sweep here. I obviously
I
like
do have
Western. I will say to their credit, Western is a solid win, and Western's probably a lot better than their record shows. But you could still
Gotcha.
argue that they're at least on par with at. But then you also have a Osceola team that's in the back-to-back games. They've knocked off Armwood and Buchholz, so they've knocked off teams on the road that were considered title contenders from the start of the playoffs to punch your ticket here. It's hard to go against them, and also, they put up quite a bit of points on a really good Buchholz defense. Their problem also had early in the year was they couldn't score points. They started to improve their offense down the stretch, and they finally have a team that could finally get past some of these playoff demons. So I like Osceola here by, I'd say maybe like a 27-24 type game.
I like it.
I like it. Well, let's talk 7A to finish it out, where we have Venice and Lake Mary. Charles, you want to go first on this one?
Before I get started, Lake got a pick in the end zone, and that stopped a dangerous situation because if St. Thomas would have won at 24-0, this game would be a hook, line, and sinker for STA. But it's a big fourth down in midfield for the Dreadnoughts to keep their drive going. So I just want to say that right quick. But I don't know much about Lake Mary and Venice. I know Venice is defending state champion. Venice won the state title last year, correct?
I'm trying to think.
They
No, wait,
won it
they
last
lost.
year?
They lost to Lakeland.
That's right. This is their second time in the game, but lost to the Dreadnoughts last year, who's getting handled right now by STA. I'm looking at this fourth down play before I make my pick right quick. Hand off left side, and he got the first. Oh, he got the first. Okay, but anyway, Venice. Look at the I called this season the revenge tour for Venice to make it back to the title game where they suffered a horrible defeat last year to the Dreadnoughts of Lakeland. I think Venice is the team of destiny. I always say that quite a bit on this show. I'm gonna go Venice to redeem their loss last year to Lakeland. They'll win the state title 24-14.
I'll definitely want to jump in on this one to actually add into that. They've actually lost to Lakeland the last 2 years in the tile game.
Which is also why I wouldn't count Lakeland out just yet.
But I will also add into
They
this
could end up under that.
Lake Mary and Venice, the two things that stood out to me throughout the early part of the season and for much of the season, both of them have high-powered offenses. I like the idea of the margin of victory you have there, Charles, but I think that score is a bit low. I'm thinking this is going to be more like a 48-38 type of win for Venice.
And they've definitely shown that propensity, right? Because their game against Miami North 8-42 in OT, they won against another state title team in Cocoa at 54-51. So yeah, this could be, if the over and under was in the 60s, you still might hammer the over. but Venice is going to be too good. I think when you're looking at a team that could possibly have multiple victories this season against other state title contenders, or in the case of Coco, a state title winner, right? And their only loss on the schedule being the IMG Academy. Give me Venice, and yeah, I honestly think you could end up seeing something like, let's go 49 to 35.
All right.
So, yep, Venice, 2 touchdowns, lots of points, both sides.
How's that Lakeland STA going now?
I'm glad you asked. I'm looking at it right now as we speak. Let me flip my phone screen right now. It is. Hold on. I'll get back to the current situation. It is 1st and 10 for the Dreadnoughts. Quarter drops back. A little short. That was 38. Sorry, I refreshed it. So they are closing on midfield. Big knots, draw play at the middle, and they get ready to put the football at the STA as they couldn't convert on third down, which has been a kryptonite so far this first half. They have not converted 1 third down this first half. That has been their fault. So first half, they convert on 4th downs, but they have not converted on third down. They're going for their second straight 4th down play here. 4th and 5 with 3:07 to go here in Pitbull Stadium. They're in the 5-wide set. Slot receiver come motion. I guess they're trying to draw ST off sides. They're well disciplined. And they're going to put the football here on 4th down as they call timeout. So it's not looking good for the Dreadnoughts. I don't think they crossed past 50 yet for what I've seen so far. It wasn't for that pick in the end zone. This game would be a blowout. But good job by Lincoln to stop touchdown the last drive for STA. But STA is having their way with Lincoln so far in the first half.
Well, obviously, next week we'll want to recap. Well, say next week we'll obviously want to recap that game and as well as the other. I think there's other 4 games that we had besides that. So it'll be 5 total to recap.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we got to do our awards.
Yep, and we'll do top 25 power rankings for the other classes overall, right? So we're going to talk 1A through 7A, top 25 power rankings, and then what's our last topic? Who gets over the hump first, right? So
yeah, that one should create some interesting discussion.
Yeah, if you want to get in on that discussion, our plan is to find out who gets over the hump first between Union County, Williston.
Is it just rural or just locally?
It was Buchholz, Williston, and Union.
Oh, yeah, Buchholz. Well, I mean, that would just be Buchholz. I said Chiefland, right? I was thinking of another school but they would have to get through both Union and Williston to even do that first. So, so yeah, who gets over the hump first? Does Coach Pruitt bring one to? Does Coach Pruitt bring one to Williston, or does Coach Thomas bring it back to Union County and the squad at Lake Butler, or does Buchholz get over the hump and get their state title? So,
has Newberry won a state championship?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I do know Chiefland has won one because they went 14-1 because that one was to the dub.
Well, for what it's worth, Union and Buchholz's last title game, last championship came in the 90s.
Yep.
And Williston's never
won.
So
the similarities with those two are a lot closer than it would look on paper.
And both four consecutive state Final Four losses is similar too.
Yeah, that's I think like when you start digging further into the stats on those two, it's really not like there's so many similarities with those two. Like that's gonna be a good discussion for next week.
For sure.
Well, boys, I enjoyed it. Let's do it next week. We'll get the link out where if people want to join on that who gets over the hump discussion, and we'll do our other stuff. So appreciate you. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.